Hey, it is your buddy, Peace and Harmony with you here today. Much love going out to all the beautiful, empowered harmonizers. And we are zooming in and focusing in today on a great viewer question, and that is to understand a little bit more in depth what codependency means, what it is, what transpires, what occurs to an individual who is in a trauma bond or in a manipulated fashion in a relationship with someone who is overtly forceful or controlling, or covertly forceful and controlling or manipulative, such as we see in the covert narcissist. And this is a situation, a circumstance that can be created over long periods of time, very subtly, in those individuals who are associated or targeted as supply and close to those people who are manipulative. And to understand narcissism is to understand that these people have a pathological sense of entitlement or superiority or control or self-importance that creates also coupled with a lack of empathy, meaning that they feel very justified, comfortable, and have no problem with exploiting the vulnerabilities, the sensitivities, the humanity, or the good in others. In the good, we mean the heart of others, the kindness of others, the sensitivity of others, the need that we inherently have as human beings to experience and receive love, to experience and receive connectedness, the need and sensitivity to be able to relate and to be close to. And this need for love and connection and connectedness can be perverted or derailed or caused to transmute, be transformed, or to be basically metamorphosized into a traumatic bond or codependency with a manipulative individual. So to be transmuted or perverted or distorted means that something that is inherently good, natural, organic, or inherent, or built in the inner fibers of your being, which is you're a human being, you are a person, and so this need inherent, it doesn't need to be taught. What is learned is the maladaptive defense mechanisms which are created and set up in the trauma bond when you're in a relationship with someone who abuses this experience, this facet, this essence, this inner fiber, this inner sanctum, this sacred part of your personhood, your personality, whether you're male or female. So this need can be perverted and it can be really exploited. So the need to belong, the need to have approval, especially, is what is perverted or distorted and then set up in the trauma bond or the codependency. Let's start with the guys. The need to be perceived or accepted as a provider. The need or desire to be looked up as the rock of strength, who will put up with anything. In other words, the man is not permitted to show their vulnerability, their sensitivity, quote unquote, their real side, their weakness. They always want to put forth the I am solid as a rock. I'm not going to complain. I'm just going to put up with and tolerate. that is my role as male, is to put up with this, and that is my role, is to be the provider, to be the rock, to not complain, to not shed a tear, to not show weakness. So this sort of undergirding or subconscious, which is then part of the mindset in the relationship, especially if you are, so I'm just going to adjust here. If you are in a relationship with someone who is psychopathic, someone who is narcissistic, they're going to take all your good for themselves. They're like, whoa, check this out. I just hit the jackpot. Here is a kind, considerate, giving individual who is basically has a sense of vulnerability because, or really, it's a perfect match for me because they're seeing the world as all good. They are wanting to give. They want to be the provider. They want to look good in my eyes. They are seeking approval. And they don't want to upset me. They are non-confrontational, perhaps even an avoidant personality, meaning they don't want to cause anger, hostility, rage. They want to be perceived as good in my eyes, and this is part of the problem that keeps the abuse cycle going, and dysfunction can run very fluidly in this relationship or in this family or even in this workplace or society at large, is to understand that the problem with codependency begins to be fostered or fueled by the need of that individual to be approved and not sort of upset this person. So it is a distorted relationship where it's externalized, and the codependency, the identity, the behaviors, the choices, especially, most importantly, the undergirding feelings or subconscious, sort of the beliefs that are set up, is that I must have approval and validation from this person, from the rules and the standards that they have caused me to be imprinted and to be a guideline sort of what I'm about, because I need to act always in their favor. And I am fearful of them thinking negatively about me. So I don't want to lose their trust. I don't want to lose my confidence in them. I want them to be confident in me and my abilities to continue to give, love, not speak up, not confront, not confrontate, not be, abrasive or not go against them, because the narcissist or the psychopath always wants to keep the upper hand. This is part of the entitlement. In other words, I'm entitled to your constant attention. It's very one-directional. It's like a one-way street. You must always act to keep favor in their eyes according to their rule set, according to their qualifications. So again, the codependency means you become, your identity is dependent or leaning on or promulgated or created by the negative or pathological standards that this person has controlled you by, and it's coupled with a lack of personal owning or personal empowerment or what is really in your best strength, your own best interest. So you become dependent on a relationship that is setting you up for failure or disaster or disappointment, because the narcissist or the psychopath, they're always placating you or playing you, and then there's always a double life, a double standard, where they're always wanting more or they're wanting another. The psychopath cannot have a relationship with others. They really don't connect in the heart space or that whole value system with others. So in other words, they don't really have or experience love. And it sounds so wishy-washy, so simple. The Beatles song, All You Need Is Love. You know, it sounds so trite. It is overused. It's a coined term. It's an experience. And then love means a lot, but it is to be codependent is to not be able to receive love. It is not to be able to receive that unconditional positive regard for you. So it is inherent in sort of a shame-based relationship where if you are not X, Y, and Z, then you are deflated. You are not good enough. You're not cutting the mustard. You're not cutting the cheese. You're not cutting the rug. You're not cutting, you know, you're not good enough. You're not performing up to standards. So the problem with this is then you become codependent or a human doing, or your self-worth is contingent or basically dependent on, you know, meeting this or conforming to this other purpose standard. So it is outside of yourself. So these are the people who eventually lose their shit. The shit hits the fan. They hit rock bottom. They end up, you know, spending all their money for this person. They become the people pleasers. They become the people who take up the jobs, the careers, you know, that aren't best for them. Perhaps where they can be burning themselves out. They're burning out their adrenals. They're in disease-ridden states. They're smoking and drinking to placate or trying to keep up with this relationship. So they keep a whole set of habitual, which has then been reinforced over time, which, like Dr. Joe Dispenza, you know, that which is, you know, that feeling initially which is set up, I better please this person or I won't survive. So it's caught up in your survival. This feeling state, which sets up your choices, which sets up your emotions, which is energy in motion, which then sets up your choices, your behaviors, and then how you identify or define yourself, i.e. your identity. Feelings repeated over time becomes a mood, and then mood repeated over time becomes a temperament, and temperament repeated over time becomes your identity, or how you see yourself. Your I am is then sort of interwoven, interthreaded with this emotion. So that's why people eventually develop codependency, or what is really like a false self, a codependent false armor. So you're kind of promulgating, or you're trying to prop up a false set of values, which you're adopting but really aren't organically in your best interest. It's the person who becomes a lawyer. It's the female who becomes, you know, the stay-at-home mom and doesn't want to. We've talked about the guys and how they've had to, you know, take the abuse and numb themselves out. Not receive, not be good receivers. That they always have to give. And so they're not comfortable receiving or taking care of themselves in a specific fashion, a specific manner, a specific manner that they're always engaged in this outer requirement of validation, so they feel that they must be the provider. So this inherent belief system then sets them up for a whole slew of I am only good enough when. So their identity, their relationship, how they perform, how they relate to others is then in a pathological sense, or a self-deprecating, self-devaluing sense. They're stuck in the devaluation because they want to offset or prolong the discard. Like, that is which is really coming. So the female, it's like the female who, is then, taught to be the submissive, who is taught to be the docile, who is taught to receive touch that they don't want to receive, who's taught that they can, must always walk a step behind. They must never be looked at as strong. They're not permitted to speak up, speak their truth, or sing, or dance, or, present themselves in a specific light, because this individual would be disappointed, or they would get disapproval. You can't cut your hair. I mean, I knew a individual who her spouse, who is unequivocally a narcissist, would not let her cut her hair. She has beautiful, gorgeous, long hair down to her waist, beautiful jet black, strong, coarse hair. It's gorgeous, but it's a lot to maintain and keep up on. She wants to cut it shorter, He would not let her. To him, that is like what he takes ownership over her hair. So this presents a problem. This presents a lack of, this creates a codependency. This creates like, I am needing your approval for things of how I do myself, how I cut my hair, how I pursue my job, how I, dress, my hobbies, my interests. So the codependency is then fostered in this set, and then so it is creating then of a mask or a false self. And this can create a lot of unhappiness. And forgive me, I have a cold here. Someone, came to the workplace with just a really awful cold and is like, I don't care. I'm going to come to work sick because. And so here we go. Everybody in close quarters is going to get the illness, is going to get the virus. So again, you can see the contagion, but I just want to show, like, of course, my immune system is let down. My immune system has not encountered this virus. So right now, my immune system is taking me into this sick state in order to learn and code the defense mechanism, the barrier, so that when this virus comes around again, I will not be vulnerable. So really, in relationships with pathological individuals, pathogens, people who are really not they're of an entitlement sense, they're of a pathological sense of self-importance, that they have the right to treat and tell other people how to be, how to care for themselves, how to relate to them. So they're controlling how they relate to them in order to become supply. So unbeknownst to you, if you don't know that this is not in your best interest, or that this person is like a pathogen, or that they're operating with a lack of empathy, so they don't care if it breaks you down. They don't care if you give all your money. They don't care if you, pay all their bills. They don't care if you're not happy. They don't care if it's not right for you. That is the lack of empathy. That is what keeps you strung along, or keeps you in the sick or unhappy, not, living in your best comfort, empowered state. So that then creates the false self. And that creates the codependency. So codependency becomes your lifestyle. So really, as I talk about all the tools that I've developed here are numerous. But I want to add a new one before we kind of do a quick review. And that is to have a catchword for yourself, if not a catchphrase or a catch song. So a catchword, because a lot of people have difficulty, becoming empowered against this very strong hold that a pathological person or lifestyle, or due to the period of time, they have a very difficult time letting it go, or creating an eternal energy shift against it. So you really want to then get the snippets down to the ultra simple and ultra powerful. So if you have a go-to word, every time you're feeling like disempowered, disenfranchised, unhappy, that you're, you've been defeated, that you are not lovable, that you're not attractive, that you're not good enough, I want you to have a go-to catch word, one word that speaks to the heart. Not always the mind, because the mind is where you intellectualize things and it's where you process. The heart is the receiver. And the heart is connected to your gut, where you have many neurons. The gut, the solar plexus, has a feeling center. The vagus nerve, there's neurons that are also what comprise your brain. There are neurons which are found within your gut system and are connected then to your feeling and your heart. So that is your power center. It is your groundedness. It's your who you are. And oftentimes this is what has been destroyed or disembodied or disenfranchised when you're in a relationship with this type of individual. So I want you to have a catchword. So, for example, a very powerful catchword for you might be faith. Have faith. Versus believe. If you believe, it's processed in the mind. I have to believe. Versus faith is embodied. So I want you to look at more values that hit you in the embodiment sense, the I have sense. So you can then experience the power that comes from departing or separating or letting go from the negative and that caustic, disempowering relationship. Because it is an experience, and it's an energy shift. It's a change of perspective. And the shift needs to be complete. Because with a complete shift, you're able to have clarity of vision and be able to refuse any connection, any choice, any belief, any behavior, any emotion that takes you down the wrong path. What I call negative, orderly direction thinking, not thinking. Not feeling, not behavior, not emotion. So you need to have a go-to hook word. And I want you to be able to repeat this and know this and experience this. This is a great, powerful tool that will help you cut through the negative fibers that have infiltrated your being. It'll help you cut that negativity from infiltrating and imprinting on the inner fibers, essence of your being. Forgive me, I have a cold and I'm losing my voice. But we're going to continue a little here. So I have faith. And I want you to be able to experience this now. And as simple as I have faith while you brush your teeth. And you can say faith, faith, faith with each movement that you make. Because when you do that, you're resetting the fibers of your being, the natural motions of your being. And that is how you tap into the subconscious and get it set up organically to fuel your feelings, your behaviors, your choices, your I am, through anything that is repetitive, organically, that you do automatically, like breathing. Faith. Faith. So you might do it on the exhale if you want to put forth faith. Faith with each stroke of your hand as you brush your teeth. Faith with each scrub of your dishes. Anything with each pedaling of your bike, with each right foot of your walk. You set forth the intention and the experience of faith. What I call basically your hook healing word.